Galactic Council Chamber is the heart of power in the known universe. It's a place of impossible grandeur, built by species who command fleets that can turn planets to glass and wield technologies that bend space itself. This is where the apex of civilizations, beings of immense power and ancient lineage, meet to decide the fate of trillions. They are the architects of galactic order, and they are all terrified. They aren't afraid of a rival empire. They aren't afraid of some cosmic anomaly or a hungry black hole. They're afraid of a single two-legged mammal from a backwater planet in the Sol system, a species the rest of the galaxy dismissed as pre-warp and primitive. A footnote in the grand cosmic library. They're afraid of humanity, or, to be more specific, they're afraid of one human, a man they gave a name to, a name now spoken only in hushed, fearful whispers in the most secure halls of power. They are afraid of a human they call the honey badger. To understand why these galactic titans tremble at that name, we have to go back to the incident on Xylos, an event that forever burned the truth about humanity into the galactic consciousness. Now it's worth saying that this story is a classic piece of science fiction from the humanity fuck yeah or HFY genre. The Galactic Council and the Vex Imperium are fictional, but they tell a powerful story about underestimation. Before Xylos, the Vex Imperium was the undisputed bully of the Orion Arm. Led by the massive and massively arrogant High Lord Cathar, the Vex had conquered hundreds of systems with a simple philosophy: might makes right. When their expansionist gaze finally fell on the systems bordering human space, their assessment was quick and dismissive. To the Vex, humans were a chaotic, fractured species that could barely keep their own planet from falling apart. Our technology was quaint, our biology was fragile, and our civilization was insignificant. They slapped a label on us: a minor species from a Class 12 death world. In sci-fi terms, that's a planet so brutal it breeds unusually tough life. But the Vex saw this as a weakness. A species that had to fight so hard just to survive could never compete with those born to rule the stars. High Lord Cathar saw humanity as an administrative problem, not a military one. He decided a simple diplomatic annexation was in order. A single Vex dreadnought, a silent and monstrous testament to their power, entered the Sol system. They didn't issue threats. They issued a summons. The brand new Human Systems Alliance was to send an envoy to the neutral outpost on Xylos to discuss their peaceful integration into the Imperium. It was a surrender negotiation disguised as diplomacy. Refuse and be obliterated. Attend and kneel. The Alliance, knowing it stood no chance against the Vex fleet, agreed. They sent one man, a quiet, unassuming diplomat named Elias Vance. Not a soldier, not a high-ranking politician, just a specialist in xeno relations. To the Vex, he was the perfect symbol of humanity's weakness. They were sending a bureaucrat to sign away their freedom. When Vance arrived on Xylos, he was escorted to a grand hall Cathar had taken over. The High Lord sat on a makeshift throne, flanked by his elite guard, wearing an expression of bored superiority. He looked down at the human envoy, a creature barely half his size, and smirked. The galaxy was about to watch the quiet, pathetic end of human independence. Cathar didn't waste time on pleasantries. He gestured to a hologram of Earth, a beautiful blue marble teeming with life. With another gesture, the image was stamped with the Vex insignia. "This is the future," Cathar boomed. "Your species is volatile, self-destructive, and insignificant. We will give you purpose. We will give you order. You will serve the Imperium, and in return, you will be allowed to exist. These are the terms." Elias Vance stood silently for a moment, hands clasped behind his back. He didn't look intimidated or defeated. He just looked patient. "And if we refuse these generous terms?" Vance asked, his voice steady and calm. Cathar let out a harsh laugh. "Refuse? You're in no position to refuse. You're soft. Your history is one of fighting each other over scraps. You aren't conquerors. You aren't survivors in the galactic sense. You are prey." To prove his point, Cathar signaled his guards. They brought a massive shielded cage into the hall. Inside was a creature of pure, bioengineered terror, a Cathar prowler. The apex predator of Cathar's homeworld, enhanced for combat. It was a symphony of claws and teeth, its eyes burning with genetic rage. This beast was a living weapon, a symbol of Vex dominance. "Your species values individual champions, doesn't it?" Cathar sneered. "This primitive trial by combat. Let's honor it. If you wish to dispute our claim, put forth a champion to face mine. If your champion wins, we will leave and never return. If mine wins, your species kneels forever." The assembled dignitaries gasped. This wasn't diplomacy. It was a brutal public execution. The prowler was a killing machine. The offer was nothing more than a final theatrical humiliation. Elias Vance looked at the snarling creature. He looked at the smug face of High Lord Cathar. And then he did something nobody in the universe expected. He smiled. "A trial by combat," he repeated softly. "We accept." A ripple of shock went through the hall. Cathar himself was stunned for a second before his face split into a wide, cruel grin. "You accept? You have some chemically enhanced super soldier hidden on your ship, human?" "No," Vance said simply. "I don't have a soldier." His gaze remained locked on Cathar. "As the challenge party, I believe we have the right to choose the nature of our champion. It doesn't have to be one of my species." Cathar's amusement only grew. "So you'll offer a pet warrior from some client race? Fine, make your choice, human. Let's see what pathetic creature you think can save you." Vance nodded to his aide, who tapped a command into a datapad. "My champion isn't a client species. It's a creature from our home world, a mammal from the subcontinent of Africa." A holographic image flickered to life. It showed a small, squat animal, no bigger than a medium-sized dog, black and white with short, powerful legs. It looked at the camera with an air of total indifference. The hall, once tense, erupted in laughter. Cathar bellowed, slapping his throne. "That? You challenge my prowler? With that? What is that ridiculous thing called?" "It is Malivera capensis," Vance stated, his voice cutting through the noise. "We call it the honey badger." The laughter intensified. "A honey badger?" Cathar wiped a tear of mirth from his eye. "Is this a human joke? You're sealing your species' fate with a joke?" "It's no joke," Vance said, his voice dropping, taking on a new, colder edge. "It's known on our world as the most fearless creature alive." He began to walk around the hologram. "It's not the strongest or the fastest. It simply does not care. It will attack lions. It will attack crocodiles. Its skin is thick and incredibly loose, allowing it to twist and attack even when something has it by the neck. It can withstand venom that would kill animals 100 times its size." The hall was growing quiet. "It's a creature born of a world where everything is trying to kill everything else." Vance continued, his voice now a low lecture. "It survived not by being the biggest, but by being the most indomitable. Its spirit is one of unending, unreasonable ferocity. Your prowler is an engineered monster, High Lord. It was designed for rage. My champion was forged by evolution. It was born in hell and thinks it's a playground." Cathar's laughter had died. He looked from the calm human to the picture of the unimpressive animal. It was absurd, but for the first time, a flicker of doubt entered his mind. There was a certainty in the human's tone that was deeply unsettling. "Fine," Cathar spat. "Bring your honey badger. Let's get this farce over with." An hour later, the hall was an arena. The prowler's cage was at one end. A small transport crate was at the other. The alien dignitaries watched, their amusement now mixed with morbid curiosity. The shield on the prowler's cage dropped. The beast roared, a sound that shook the building. Its eyes, burning with hate, fixed on the small crate. Then the crate opened. For a moment, nothing. Then the honey badger waddled out. It blinked, looked at the massive, roaring monster across the arena, and seemed utterly unimpressed. It gave a little shake, almost a shrug, and began snuffling along the floor, as if looking for a snack. The prowler, insulted by this lack of respect, charged. It was a living avalanche of claw and fang. It fell upon the honey badger with a force that should have ended the fight in a single, brutal instant, clamping its massive jaws on the badger's back and shaking it like a rag doll. A sigh went through the crowd. It was over. But it wasn't. From within the prowler's jaws, the honey badger twisted its body. Its famously loose skin let it turn a full 180 degrees while being held fast. It sank its teeth into the prowler's sensitive snout. The prowler yelped in shock and pain, dropping the smaller creature. The honey badger landed on its feet, completely unfazed, and immediately charged back. What followed wasn't a fight. It was a lesson. The prowler was bigger, stronger, and faster. But the honey badger was relentless, a furry black and white nightmare of perpetual motion. The prowler slashed with claws that could shred steel, but the badger's thick hide resisted the worst of it. The badger, in turn, was a master of attrition, darting in to bite vulnerable spots: legs, underbelly, face. The prowler, a creature of pure offense, had never faced an enemy that simply refused to die. It couldn't compute this level of pure, unadulterated tenacity. The fight dragged on for 20 minutes. The prowler, once a pristine symbol of Vex power, was now bleeding from 100 wounds, exhausted, confused, and, for the first time in its life, afraid. It tried to back away, but the honey badger wouldn't let it. Finally, the prowler collapsed. The honey badger, seeing its opponent was no longer a threat, calmly walked over, gave it a final sniff, and trotted to the side of the arena to scratch at the wall. Its mission complete. Silence. The entire hall was utterly deathly silent. They had just watched a bioengineered super predator get systematically dismantled by what looked like a grumpy pet. High Lord Cathar stared, his mouth open, his arrogance shattered. Into that silence, Elias Vance's voice echoed, calm as ever. The trial is concluded. He walked to the center of the arena, stopping beside the victorious honey badger to give it a fond scratch behind the ears. Cathar finally found his voice, a strangled whisper. What is that thing? Vance straightened up and looked directly at the High Lord. And now his face wasn't calm. It was hard, cold, and his eyes held a fire more terrifying than the prowler's rage. You misunderstand. You've been asking the wrong question all along. He took a step forward. The question isn't, what is that thing? Another step. The question is, why did I choose it? He was standing right in front of Cathar's throne now. I chose it because you called my species weak and fragile. You judged us by our appearance just as you judged this creature. You made the same mistake twice. Vance leaned in, his voice a conspiratorial whisper. There's a reason my own people gave me a nickname. High Lord. One I earned during the Unification Wars, dealing with warlords far more unreasonable than you. A dawning, stomach-churning horror spread across Cathar's face. They don't call me the diplomat, Vance whispered. They call me the honey badger because I'm relentless, because I'm resilient, and because I never ever let go. That animal, he said, gesturing to the badger, was not my champion. It was my demonstration. I am the champion. He straightened up, his voice ringing out for all to hear. Humanity isn't dangerous because of our ships or our weapons. We're dangerous because we were born on a world that tried to kill us for 1,000,000 years, and we survived. We're dangerous because in the heart of every single one of us, every diplomat, scientist, and child, is that same spirit. The spirit to look at an overwhelming force and decide with utter certainty that we will not back down. We are a species of honey badgers, High Lord. All of us. Now, Vance concluded, his voice like ice, about the terms of your surrender, and that's the story of the incident on Xylos. The day the Vex Imperium not only canceled their invasion, but gave 3 of their own systems to the Human Alliance as a goodwill gesture. Word of the humans' honey badger spread, and the galaxy was never the same. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell for more tales from the depths of sci-fi. And let me know in the comments, what other Earth creature do you think would absolutely terrify a galactic council? So we return to the Galactic Council chamber, and now we understand the fear. It isn't the fear of a human army. It's the fear of an idea. The idea that this small, soft-spoken species from the death world isn't prey. They're the ultimate survivors, and the Council knows, with a chilling certainty, that there are billions more just like Elias Vance out there. Billions of potential honey badgers, each with that same indomitable spirit, just waiting for a reason to show it. And that is a threat that no fleet, no technology, and no empire can ever hope to contain.